Hello everyone, we are finally back with more news for Halloween Horror Nights 31, including the Weeknd's house finally announced and frequent fear passes are finally live. Let's talk about it. If you are new here, I am Liz. I'm a huge Halloween Horror Nights fan. I've been attending the event since 2001, and I spend most of my year counting down the days until I am back in the fog yet again. So for the next 3 months, I'm going to be sharing Halloween Horror Nights content on this channel, including news updates, possibly some construction updates, some tips and tricks, and advice on how to get the most out of your visit to Halloween Horror Nights later this year. Then come September and October, I will be sharing vlogs from my own trips into the fog, which, as we'll discuss later, should be multiple nights this year. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to follow along with all the spooky fun. With that out of the way, it has been a long month waiting for more announcements from Halloween Horror Nights. It's been very quiet, but finally today we received the announcement of the Weeknd After Hours Nightmare and frequent fear passes. So the Weeknd's house was announced for both Hollywood and Orlando. We also finally found out the pricing for frequent fear this year, and it's a little scary. Plus, we can't end this video without discussing that rumor that I teased at the end of my last video, where I said that there was a house that might not be remaining on the rumor map for much longer. And sure enough, that house has disappeared, so we need to talk about that rumor and what might be replacing it instead. So first up, we have the Weeknd After Hours Nightmare. We've been waiting for it. Honestly, this has been the worst kept secret this year. The Weeknd himself tweeted out some hints that this was happening months ago, so we all knew this was on the docket. Some people were in denial that it was coming, but most of us had already accepted that we were going to have a Weeknd house at Halloween Horror Nights 31. So let's get into the official news that we received today. From the original description, we know that this house will feature music from After Hours, including After Hours, In Your Eyes, Heartless, Blinding Lights, Save Your Tears, and Too Late. Those are the songs that were included on the press release and shared with Entertainment Weekly. We also know the house will be broken into 3 sections after we're transported into the Weeknd's subconscious. So apparently we're going to enter the house, we're going to see the Weeknd, we're going to be transported into his mind, and then the next 3 sections of the house are within his mind. So those 3 sections include the After Hours Club, the After Hours Hotel, and the After Hours Station, which is the metro tunnel from the After Hours short film. I need to watch that, I have not seen it. In the house will also be stalked by slashers, bandaged maniacs, gruesome toad-like creatures, and other unfathomable horror from the mind of the artist. Let's pause for a moment. Toad-like creatures? If you watch my weekly vlogs, you know I don't do frogs. Frogs are like the one thing, well, I can't say the one thing, there's multiple things, but frogs are my main no-go. I don't do frogs. Toads aren't quite as bad as frogs, but they're in the same jumpy realm. That scene's gonna be a problem for me. I'm already dreading it. I'm already dreading the toad-like creatures, no. So we also received a teaser video. As they've been doing for each announcement, we got a little teaser clip, and then we got a preview. We also got a glimpse of some of those slashers and bandaged maniacs in the video. And I have to say, the bandaged maniacs on both the image, which I've already shared, but I'll share it again, and this preview very much remind me of Vanity Ball. I do think we're gonna get some Vanity Ball vibes in whatever scene those bandaged maniacs are in. They are just very, very similar to what we saw in the 2019 Scare Zone Vanity Ball. So my thoughts. Overall, I am optimistic for this one, and here's why. You know I love originals. I prefer originals over IPs. In these collaborative projects, it's basically an original that's just taking influence and inspiration from an outside artist. We're still getting an original, it's just this artist is bringing their own concepts and ideas to it, in this case from music videos. We've seen this with other artists in the past. Obviously 2012 had an Alice Cooper house, featured Alice Cooper's music, had a bunch of his concepts in there. And then in 2020, we would have seen a Billie Eilish house using the same concept, but it was scrapped in all of the chaos of 2020. So it's obviously an idea that Universal has wanted to run with, and in this case, we're getting a collaboration with The Weeknd. I'm all for IPs like Legends Collide, or The Weeknd that take inspiration from an intellectual property, but they're still at their root originals. It's still art and design getting to do their thing, and you're not just coming in and seeing a copy of already existing material. I know it's a little different this time because there are music videos, but we're still gonna get our own spin on it. Aside from those toad-like creatures, I think this one has the potential of being a very interesting house, and heavy metal isn't the only music that can work in a horror realm. For everyone who loved the park-wide music of 2019, I think that park-wide soundtrack got a lot of love, and that was very 80s electronic based. And honestly, the After Hours album is very 80s electronic reminiscent. Adjacent, I think is what everyone calls it now. It's 80s adjacent. I think it can work. So I know the fandom out there has very mixed reactions to this house, so let me know your thoughts down below. Are you team The Weeknd? Are you team apprehensive? Are you team this is the worst idea ever in existence, I don't ever want to see this house? Anywhere in between, let me know your comments down below. So next up we have frequent fear passes. Everyone was anxiously awaiting this announcement for some reason this year and last year. They have waited until later in the season to release them. Not quite sure the rationale behind that, but that's where we are. So we finally got them released today, and boy, did they go up in price. It was a jump. I was expecting an increase. They always increase, but it was a little heftier than I was hoping for. So let's get into it briefly. I'm not gonna do a full rundown of all the prices and everything, but I will link their website down below if you wanna check out everything that's available. But I do wanna give you a little bit of a rundown of what passes are available, because I think that might be valuable for some of you out there where it's not necessarily easy to understand what each pass means based on just reading it on the website. So obviously there are many options for tickets for Halloween Horror Nights. You can do single night tickets, you can just do multiple single night tickets, you can add express onto those tickets, and then there are frequent fear passes for those like me who want to go many nights over the course of September or September and October. Here's the crash course. Rush of Fear. That is your cheapest option. It is a $129 plus tax. I have that one written down. I'm not gonna go over the rest, but I just happen to have that one because it stayed the same price. So Rush of Fear will get you every September event date except for the 28th, 29th, and 30th. So with Rush of Fear, you're getting the first 4 weeks of the event, but you will not get the 28th, 29th, or 30th of September because they're lumping that with the first weekend of October. Now the $129 price is without express. If you want to add express to that, I happen to know Rush of Fear price, that is $429. So it's an extra $300, which if you're gonna go for all of those nights, then sure, it's a deal. You're only going a few nights, not really worth the jump to add express. The next step up from Rush of Fear is the frequent fear pass, and that is going to get you opening weekend. So you'll get Friday, Saturday, Sunday of opening weekend, and then every weeknight of the event after that, excluding Fridays and Saturdays. So no weekend nights, not even the final weekend. The final weekend, final 2 nights are Sunday and Monday this year. So you do get the Sunday and Monday, but there are no Fridays or Saturdays included except for opening weekend. If you want Friday nights, you can jump up 1 more tier to the Frequent Fear Plus. That pass includes opening weekend and closing weekend. They do give you the final Saturday of the event if you have the Frequent Fear Plus, so that is a perk, plus every Friday of the event. So the only nights you cannot go are Saturday nights, with the exclusion of opening weekend and closing weekend, which are included, but otherwise everything except for Saturdays. And then if you really feel like splurging, you can get the Ultimate Fear Pass, and that is every single night of the event. It's what I had last year. I had the Ultimate last year, but this year it is quite pricey. I mean, it was pricey last year, let's be real. It was very expensive. It felt bad to spend that much money at one time for a theme park pass, but I went 17 nights. I got my money's worth, I really did. But this year, let's talk about the price for the Ultimate Fear. So if you want to use an Ultimate Fear Pass without express, it's going to cost you $325 plus tax. However, if you are like me and either feel too old or too impatient to wait in those lines, then Ultimate Fear with Express is going to cost you a whopping $819 plus tax. So probably $850 all said and done for this pass. Whew. So last year it was $729 plus tax. It went up $90 for the pass plus express. quite the drastic increase. So I am debating internally which I'm going to do, the Frequent Fare Plus or the Ultimate. I don't know, $819 or $850 plus is a lot to fork over. So I really have to evaluate how many nights I think I'm going to go this year, and you will all have to do that same math for yourself and figure out how many nights you're going and which pass makes the most sense for your wallet. I'm sweating just thinking about spending $850, but that express life, it does not come cheap. So if you have questions about the passes, leave me comments down below. I am planning to do a Q&A with tips and tricks with you guys later on in August. So definitely leave me any questions you have. It can be about tickets, it can be about the event, whatever you want to know, leave me questions. I'll ask for more in the future, but I'll start compiling those now in order to make those videos come August. So finally, to close out this video, let's talk about that rumor that I mentioned, that I teased in my last video, about a house that might not make the final cut. If you were paying attention to social media on Monday, you may have caught a glimpse of the shirt for Halloween Horror Nights 31. Now, we don't know for sure that this is an official item, but I suspect that it was. It does look legit to me. I'm not gonna quote it directly because it was a leak, it was a spoiler. I'm a rumors account, but I'm not a spoiler account. You know, I toe the line on giving information that's out there, but not raining on Universal's parade. And I feel like if I directly quote the shirt, then I'm gonna be raining on their parade a little bit. If you saw the shirt, then hey, that last rumor map I discussed was right on the money, wasn't it? So if you missed the shirt, it basically just confirmed everything that we had on the rumors map, except for 2 items were missing. One was the Weeknd, and the second one was Evil Dead, or Evil Dead Rise. I can't remember what the map had. Evil Dead nonetheless. The Weeknd, not a surprise. Usually big IPs like that, sometimes they want their own merch. They don't want to be lumped on a shirt. Not out of the question to see the Weeknd missing. But with only 8 items on the shirt, that left the question, what about that last one? So in my last video, I mentioned that there was one house that would most likely change, and I was waiting for more information before I spoke about it. In the month since that video came out, it turns out the rumors were true, and Evil Dead Rise was pulled from the event. So rumor has it that the movie has been delayed, so it didn't work out timing wise to have it featured at this fall's Halloween Horror Nights, maybe next year. But in this case, it just wouldn't make sense. And if you've been attending Halloween Horror Nights for a while, then you probably remember Dracula Untold, and that was the last time they did a house where the house came out before the movie. And it was a very confusing experience as a guest walking through the house because the movie wasn't out. It's an IP, so it doesn't really have a very cohesive story unless you've seen the material. So it did not work. I assume they did not want to attempt that again. Evil Dead Rise was removed from the lineup. Now, it was already under construction. It was already happening. So they've had to switch gears quickly. However, I'm hearing that it's not going to be a Scream turns into the Purge situation, and they're not just reusing sets and repurposing them. They are kind of starting from scratch and creating a new original in its place. So what is that original? I'm hearing it's going to be a prison-based house. Now, this could be a return to Hellgate Prison, which is a Horror Nights property that's been used multiple times. I don't know if it would be a sequel or a prequel. Don't really know any details other than prison. So it could be an entirely new story that's just in a prison setting. We won't know quite yet. And I say that because I'm pretty sure we are just around the corner from having a full reveal, and I'll come back to that in just a moment. So with the last minute switch going from Evil Dead Rise into this last original, that item did not have enough time to make it on the shirt, I assume. This part I'm just making an educated guess that when these things happen in this last minute nature, they have to call audibles, and they could only put 8 items on the shirt. This last original did not make it in time for merchandising to have the final print in to order shirts. So we'll be missing 1, technically 2, on the shirt. It's kind of a thing at this point, right? Every year we have something that's not quite right on the shirt, and it's just tradition at this point. So with that final IP being pulled, final breakdown, 6 originals and 4 IPs. With 2 of those IPs basically being originals because Legends Collide and The Weeknd are one of those gray area original IP mixes. You know I'm team originals. I love that ratio and would love for that to be the standard moving forward. I doubt it will be, but I'm gonna revel in it while I can. The good news is that I think we are right around the corner from a full house reveal. it is almost August, which means it is almost September, with having only originals and scare zones left to announce that they will probably do a full reveal and just reveal the rest at once. But I would expect a full reveal within the next couple weeks. Hopefully next week, but maybe the week after or the week after that. But soon, very soon. I've talked a lot today, and there is a lot more that we could talk about. There's scare zone construction happening. There's tribute store hints that are happening that could tie into Halloween Horror Nights. There's a lot more to discuss, but I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up for today and come back with another video very soon touching on those topics. So what do you think about today's news about the Weeknd, frequent fear passes, this prison original? Let me know your thoughts on everything down below. So I will be back very soon with another video to discuss all those other topics, but until then, stay safe and stay spooky. Bye.